So, as football rapidly approaches, or at least regular season NFL football, I thought it might be kind of fun to take a look at really every single game in the NFL season and predict the outcome of every single game. And I'm going to be releasing several videos over the course of the next couple of weeks talking about my predictions because I actually came across some interesting thoughts. And with this process, I didn't really take much time to really look at my past predictions week by week. I wasn't paying attention to the records of the teams as I made these selections. I literally was just looking each game and going with sort of my gut instinct based on those two teams who I would think would be the winner of that game. And I came up with some interesting conclusions. So to get us kicked off, because this is a Jaguars-centric channel, I wanted to take a look at the AFC South final predicted standings heading into 2023. And I didn't really consider a whole lot the potential of a Jonathan Taylor trade for the Indianapolis Colts. It was kind of factored in. To be honest, I don't think the presence or lack thereof of Taylor really moves the needle a whole lot with that team. So with that in mind, here are the final standings I came up with for 2023, and no surprise here, whether you think it's because of bias or because this is going to be the reality, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars on top. But even surprising for me, 14-3, I did not expect that to be the record that I settled on, but that's what came out after I had selected every single game in the NFL season. I have the Jaguars at 14-3. And a lot of that goes down to strength of schedule. So there are several tough games on the Jaguars' schedule, and I think they'll probably win about half of those really tough games that I'm not sure they should be winning. But I also think the Jaguars are, generally speaking, just a little bit undervalued. Like, their offense, if they stay healthy, is loaded with talent, especially the starting skill positions. And if that offensive line can perform reasonably well, and by that I mean middle of the pack running and even maybe slightly above average in pass protection, they're going to be a really good football team, even if their defense struggles from time to time. Now in second place, 8-9, the Tennessee Titans, which I actually think before I even started picking games, that's about where I would have put the Titans anyways. I see them as a very middle of the road team. They have a fairly average-ish, maybe even slightly above average starting quarterback with Ryan Tannehill. They have one of the best, if not the best, running backs in the game, but they don't have a lot of skill player weapons outside of DeAndre Hopkins, which does definitely help that team. They should have a fairly solid defense, but nothing about that team really screams competitor in the AFC. Now, if they were in the NFC, they might actually be a playoff team, but they're in the AFC, and the AFC right now is stacked with quarterback talent, of which the Titans do not currently have a piece of. Now, this is where it got kind of interesting, because power rankings-wise, the Indianapolis Colts are consistently ranked as one of the, if not the, worst teams in the NFL. And I do think they are probably going to struggle for most of the season to find their footing. Some of their skill position players have eroded away. They lack a quarterback solution, though, of course, Colts fans hope Anthony Richardson turns into that quarterback of the future. The reality is he's likely to be quite raw, likely to provide a lot of wow plays, but also a lot of why would you do those plays. So I think the Colts at 5-12, that's actually fairly generous. I'm going to look at their wins here in just a minute. And then the Houston Texans I have at 1-16, which I truly think is probably pretty close to where they're going to finish up. So now, of all those records, the Titans aren't so interesting because they're right in the middle, but the Jaguars, I thought it might be helpful to see the Jaguars' losses that I came up with. So for the Jaguars, the only losses that I found on their schedule when doing this exercise: Week 2, Kansas City. No surprise there. Week 5, Jacksonville, technically at Buffalo, but realistically, that's actually more of a home game for Jacksonville. It feels like it might be a loss, though. The Bills are a really good football team that totally falls into the category of games that could definitely go either way. For this time, I just have them losing that game. And then Week 10, San Francisco at Jacksonville. The 49ers may have the most complete roster in the league, even if they don't have the best quarterback in the NFL. Then moving on to the Indianapolis Colts, and the Indianapolis Colts wins that I have on their schedule. Week 2, Texans, Colts, that could be the toilet bowl just early in the season. Week 9, Indianapolis at Carolina. Interesting game. I think I actually like Indianapolis in this one. I think the Colts roster still maybe overall not all that bad. If they can just get the pieces to do the right things, they're not completely devoid of talent. Week 12, Tampa Bay at Indianapolis. That could be a good game. And by week 12, I do think that Baker Mayfield may have already been benched. I think Tampa Bay is going to be fishing for a solution. And I don't know that they're going to find one here in 2023. So week 12, Tampa Bay at Indianapolis, that to me is a victory for the Colts. Week 16, Indianapolis at Atlanta. Atlanta, again, NFC South team, weak division. Colts could get a win there. And week 18, once again, Houston at Indianapolis. I actually like the Colts in that one as well because, again, I like the Colts roster better than I like the Texans. Leaving us with the Houston Texans now, and the only win that I was able to fish out of their schedule, and this, you may even believe this is just kind of a gift to the Texans so that I could chalk up a win. And maybe that's where my brain was at. But week 8, Houston at Carolina, that would probably qualify actually as a slight upset there. But I do have the Texans winning at least a game. And realistically, if you look at individual games across the board, the Texans probably should lose all 17 games. They're probably not going to be favored in a single game this season. But it's the NFL where parity reigns supreme. They'll probably pick up a win somewhere along the way, if not more than one win. And I have theirs coming in my schedule, at least, in week 8 against the Carolina Panthers. So that's what I came up with for the AFC South standings. I'm going to have a lot of fun with my picks over the course of the next couple of weeks because there were some real head scratchers out there. But this is what I came up with. I do want to know what you think about this. Let us know in those comments down below if you have different picks, different records rather. Maybe you have the Jaguars face planning and not winning the division at all. Let us know all those thoughts down below. And of course, if you like the video, like it, share, subscribe, and YouTube will send you a few more videos from the channel to watch. And I will see all of you in the next one.